For 18 years, she lived inside a palace. She slept beneath silk curtains. She ate from golden plates. She wore dresses that ordinary girls could only dream of. And every morning, servants bowed when she walked past. But there was one strange rule. She was never allowed to leave the palace. Not even once. No one told her why. No one told her who her real parents were. And whenever she asked about the locked door at the end of the eastern corridor, she gave her the same answer. Forget about it. But on the night of her 18th birthday, the girl finally opened that door. And behind it, she found a portrait of herself, painted 20 years before she was born. Chapter 1. The Girl Without a Family. Her name was Ilara. At least, that was the name she had been given. She had lived inside the royal palace of Valadorn for as long as she could remember. The palace was enormous. Its towers rose above the city like white mountains. The halls were lined with marble columns. Its gardens were filled with roses, fountains, and ancient trees. And somewhere inside those walls lived a girl who had never seen the world beyond them. Ilara had everything a young woman could possibly want.
Beautiful clothing, private tutors, musicians, servants, a room overlooking the royal gardens, and books from every corner of the kingdom.
But there was something she did not have. A mother, a father, or even a single memory of where she had come from. Whenever Ilara asked Queen Seraphine about her childhood, the Queen always smiled sadly. "You were brought to us when you were very young," she would say. "Where did I come from?" "That is a story for another time." "And my parents?" The Queen would always look away. "They loved you." That was all Ilara ever received. 4 words. They loved you. But as the years passed, those words became more painful than comforting. Because Ilara began to wonder, if her parents loved her so much, why had they left her inside a palace? Chapter 2. The Golden Cage. Ilara's life was beautiful, but it was also a cage. She could walk through the gardens. She could visit the library. She could speak with servants and tutors. She could attend royal dinners. But she could never pass through the palace gates. There were guards everywhere. Whenever she approached the main entrance, someone would politely stop her. "Princess, the Queen has ordered that you remain inside." Ilara hated that word. Princess. She had never been officially crowned. She was not the king's daughter. And yet everyone treated her as if she belonged to the royal family. One evening, when Ilara was 16, she asked her personal maid, Mara, a question. "Why am I not allowed outside?" Mara became pale. "I don't know." "You do know." "No, my lady." "Ilara." The maid looked down. "I promise you, some questions are dangerous. Ilara never forgot those words. Some questions are dangerous. From that day forward, she began looking for answers.
Chapter 3. The Locked Corridor. There was one place in the palace Ilara had never been allowed to enter. The Eastern Corridor. At the end of it stood an enormous black wooden door. It had no handle on the outside, only a small silver lock. The guards never spoke about it. The servants never walked near it. And Queen Seraphine had forbidden Ilara from even asking about it. Naturally, that made Ilara want to know more. One rainy evening, Ilara was walking through the palace when she saw something strange. Mara was standing near the Eastern Corridor. In her hand was an old silver key. Ilara stopped. Mara? The maid turned quickly. What are you doing here? Ilara looked at the key. What does that open? Mara's face changed. Nothing. That isn't true. Ilara, please. Tell me. Mara's eyes filled with tears. Then she whispered something Ilara had never expected to hear. That door was once your mother's room. Ilara froze. My mother lived here? Mara nodded. But why have I never heard about her? Because the Queen ordered everyone to forget. Why? Mara looked toward the end of the corridor. Because your
Mother disappeared. Chapter 4. The Woman in the Port.
That night, Ilara couldn't sleep. She waited until the palace became silent. Then she took the silver key. She walked toward the Eastern Corridor. The guards were gone. The candles had burned low. Her hands trembled as she approached the black door. She inserted the key. Click. The lock opened. The door slowly moved. A cold smell of dust and old wood filled the corridor. Inside was a forgotten room. Everything was covered in white cloth. An old piano stood beside the window. A child's wooden horse rested in one corner. And on the wall was a large portrait. Ilara stepped closer. She stopped breathing. The woman in the portrait looked almost exactly like her. The same dark hair, the same eyes, the same small mark beneath the left eye. Ilara touched the painting. Mother. Beneath the portrait was a small brass plate. It carried a date. 20 years earlier. Ilara. She stared at it. She had been born 18 years ago. But the portrait had been painted 2 years before her birth. Why did her mother look exactly like her? Then Ilara noticed something else. A small wooden box beneath the painting. Inside was a letter. The paper was old. The handwriting was elegant. And the first sentence changed Ilara's life forever. My beloved daughter. Chapter 5. The Letter. Ilara read the letter slowly. Her mother's name was Evelyn. She had not been a servant. She had not been a noblewoman. She had been the king's first love. Years before King Adrian married Queen Seraphine, he had secretly loved Evelyn. But Evelyn had discovered something dangerous. The royal succession had been manipulated. A group of powerful nobles wanted to control the throne. Evelyn found evidence. She planned to expose them. But before she could speak, she discovered she was pregnant with Ilara. The letter continued. I know they will come for my child, so I have made a choice no mother should ever have to make. If you are reading this, then I am no longer there to protect you. Ilara's hands began to shake. Her mother had known she would disappear. She had known her daughter would be raised inside the palace. But why? The final lines were almost impossible to read through Ilara's tears. Trust the queen, even if she tells you to hate her. Ilara stared at the words. The queen? Why would her mother tell her to trust the woman who had hidden her entire life? Chapter 6: The Queen's Secret. The next morning, Ilara went directly to Queen Seraphine. She placed the letter on the table. The Queen looked at it. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she closed her eyes. You found it. Yes. Then the time has come. Ilara's voice trembled. Was Evelyn my mother? Yes. Did she die? The Queen looked toward the window. No. Ilara's heart stopped. What? Your mother is alive.
The room seemed to disappear around her. Where is she?
I don't know. You're lying. I wish I were. The Queen explained everything. Evelyn had discovered the conspiracy. When the nobles realized she was going to expose them, they ordered her capture. King Adrian tried to protect her, but he was too late. Evelyn disappeared. The king believed she had been killed, but Queen Seraphine secretly discovered that Evelyn had escaped. She also discovered that Ilara was in danger. So she made a terrible decision. She brought the child into the palace. She raised her as a royal ward, and she told everyone that Ilara had no family. Why didn't you tell me? Because if the people who were hunting your mother knew you were her daughter, they would have come for you. Ilara's anger slowly turned into tears. You kept me locked inside this palace. Yes. You stole my life. Yes. The Queen's voice broke. But I kept you alive.
Chapter 7: The Truth About Her Father. At least, not by blood. The king had loved Evelyn, but Ilara's biological
Father was a man named Thomas Vale. He had been the royal historian. He and Evelyn had worked together to uncover the conspiracy. Thomas had disappeared shortly before Ilara was born. The nobles believed they had killed him. But Evelyn's letter contained one final clue. A symbol. The same symbol Ilara had seen carved into the eastern door. Queen Seraphine recognized it immediately. It belonged to the old royal archive. What does that mean? It means your father may have left something behind. Chapter 8. The Hidden Archive. That night, Queen Seraphine took Ilara beneath the palace. There was a secret staircase hidden behind the royal library. They descended into darkness. At the bottom was an ancient stone chamber. Thousands of documents filled the shelves. Records, letters, royal agreements. And finally, a wooden chest. Queen Seraphine opened it. Inside was a journal. Thomas Vale's journal. Ilara opened the first page. The final entry had been written 18 years earlier. I know they are coming. I have hidden the evidence where no king will think to look. If my daughter survives, she must know one thing. The kingdom was never stolen from the king. It was stolen from the people. Ilara continued reading. Then she found a map. It showed a small village far beyond the royal capital. At the center of the map was a tiny mark. A house. Queen Seraphine stared at it. I thought this place was abandoned. What place? The Queen whispered.
Your father's childhood home. Chapter 9. Leaving the Palace. For the first time in 18 years, Ilara stood at the palace gates.
The guards opened them. She looked back. The palace had been her entire world.
It had been her prison, her home, her protection, and her secret. Queen Seraphine stood behind her. You don't have to forgive me. Ilara looked at the woman who had raised her. I don't know if I can. The Queen nodded. But you saved me. I promised your mother I would. Ilara stepped forward. For the first time, she walked outside. The sunlight touched her face. The world was enormous, louder than she had imagined, messier, more beautiful, and terrifying. But she was
Finally free. Chapter 10. The House in the Valley. After 3 days of travelling, Ilara reached the village. At the end of a narrow valley stood an old stone house. The door was covered with vines. The windows were broken. It looked abandoned. But Ilara noticed something strange. Smoke. Someone was inside. She approached slowly. Then the door opened. An elderly man stood there. He had grey hair, a long beard,
and tired eyes. He looked at Ilara. He dropped the cup in his hand. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then he whispered one word. Evelyn? Ilara began to cry. No. The old man stared at her. I am her daughter. His face changed. He stepped backward. My God. You knew my mother?
The man nodded. I knew both your parents. Who are you? The old man looked at her for a long time. Then he smiled sadly. My name is Thomas Vale. Ilara's heart stopped. Her father was alive. Chapter 11. The father she never knew. Thomas had not been killed. He had escaped, but he had spent 18 years hiding. He had watched the palace from afar. He had secretly received news about Ilara. He knew she was safe. He knew she had grown into a young woman, but he had never approached her, because the conspiracy was still alive. If I came for you, he explained, they would have found you. Ilara cried. You could have found another way. Thomas lowered his head. I tried. He showed her an old box. Inside were dozens of small letters. Letters written to Ilara throughout the years. Her first birthday. Her 5th birthday.
Her 10th. Her 15th. And one for her 18th birthday. None had ever been delivered. I wrote to you every year. Why didn't you send them?
Because every letter could have led them to you. Ilara held the letters against her chest. For 18 years, she had believed she had been forgotten. But her father had remembered every birthday, every year, every moment. Chapter 12. The Terrible Secret. But Thomas had not called Ilara to the valley simply for a reunion. There was still one final truth. He opened the old wooden box again. Beneath the letters was a sealed document. This is what your mother and I discovered. Ilara opened it. It contained proof that several powerful nobles had secretly
controlled the kingdom for decades. They had manipulated royal marriages. They had changed succession records. They had removed people who threatened their influence. And the most shocking name was at the bottom. Queen Seraphine's father. Ilara stared at the document. Your mother knew, Thomas said. And the Queen? She knew some of it. But she protected me. Yes. Why? Thomas smiled sadly. Because sometimes a person can be born into a powerful family and still choose to do the right thing. Ilara finally understood. The Queen had not raised her because she wanted power.
She had raised her because Evelyn had asked her to. Final chapter. The girl who left the palace. Years later, people would tell the story differently. Some said Ilara was a lost princess. Others called her the girl who escaped a golden cage. But Ilara never called herself either. She called herself a daughter. A daughter who had finally found her mother through an old letter. A daughter who found her father waiting in a forgotten valley. And a daughter who learned that love sometimes hides behind terrible choices. The palace had once been her entire world. But now, she understood something. The palace can protect you. A palace can feed you. A palace can surround you with gold. But if you are never allowed to choose your own path, even the most beautiful palace can become a prison. Ilara eventually returned to the capital, not as a prisoner, not as a hidden child, but as a woman who knew the
truth. She helped expose the nobles who had controlled the kingdom. She restored the name
of those who had been erased from history. And every year, on her birthday, she returned to the old valley. She would sit beside her father. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they simply watched the sunset. And on the wall of their little house hung one old portrait. A portrait of a young woman named Evelyn, the mother Ilara had spent her entire life searching for.
She never got to see her mother again, but she finally understood something her mother had written long ago. Love does not always look like staying. Sometimes love looks like leaving. Sometimes a mother disappears so her daughter can live. And sometimes the girl raised inside a palace must walk beyond its golden gates to finally discover who she really is. And that was how Ilara learned the greatest secret of all.